So Nicholas, what's a human?
A human can be described as being like a Homo sapien, or it could be like someone having a soul, or just having human-like traits.
Agreed.
This is the most exciting thing I've ever done.
So, to find out the difference between being human and being humane, we're gonna ask our friend Jacob Scott over here.
Being human and humane get mixed up times. Being human is not always humane. Some people are born with it and some people aren't. It's just like the golden rule. Treat others like how you want to be treated.
So, Archie, how does all this connect to Blade Runner?
So in Blade Runner, we actually see the humans showing less empathy than the androids, which if you read the book, it's kind of about the opposite of that. It's about the androids not being able to show empathy. And throughout the book, we kind of see that the humans really only care for their own species or the other humans, while the androids tend to care about everyone.
Why don't hunters show humanity in Blade Runner?
So, hunters throughout the book have a tendency to just treat the androids like they're not human. They objectify the woman, they objectify everybody, and they end up just killing people and show no empathy towards the androids throughout the book novel.
Speaking about Rick and Rachel, how's their humanity take a role in Blade Runner? At the start of the book, Rick starts out as your average guy. He's happy, he loves his job, and he has a great life. But throughout the book, this changes a lot. Towards the start of the book, he's pretty ignorant about his line of work. He's pretty closed off emotionally to the actions that he's doing to these androids, and throughout the book, this catches up to him. As the book progresses, he becomes a lot more alone and guilty of his actions. And he just overall becomes a lot more depressed. He understands the things that he's been doing to these androids, and he starts to feel empathy towards these androids, growing as a person and showing humanity to these androids. His first instance of showing humanity is not executing Rachel and hesitating to execute Pris because of her resemblance to Rachel. He starts to become a lot more empathetic to androids overall, feeling for them as one would feel for another human. Another portrayal of this is him turning to Mercer towards the end of the book. This resembles us quite well, because in our day and age, a lot of people do tend to turn to God as they feel like they're in low points of their life. When you see the sickening and outrageous things that are happening on the world, sometimes it's just too much for you to take in. So who do you turn to? You turn to the one with all answers. That person being what many religions consider God. And in this book, Mercer is that God.
Another example of this is Rachel in the book Blade Runner. In Blade Runner, Rachel is an android. Obviously. As an android, she isn't allowed to show any empathy. Though when Rick's guilt comes to him, the person that's there to comfort him is Rachel herself, which in a way shows she has empathy to others. There are more cracks where Rachel shows that she's capable of empathy throughout the book as well.
What's up, Rachel? See you later, Rachel.
Rachel fundamentally as a character was made to show bounty hunters that there's more to these androids than what meets the surface. How she manages to do this is by showing real and genuine emotion throughout the books, which is more than a lot of the bounty hunters can say. They stimulate fake emotion in the mornings to make themselves feel however way they want to feel, whereas Rachel does it authentically. And when you really step back to think about it, she's more human than any of the bounty hunters are. Throughout the book, the bounty hunters are described as cold, emotionless. They don't have empathy, which is a lot like the description they're supposed to be telling about the androids. They're very robotic in that sense. Whereas a lot of the androids that we see in the book are full of life. They have emotion, they want to live, they have very slight glimpses of empathy that show up, whether that's for themselves, for others, or for another organism. So in a way, Rachel's more human and humane than any other character in this book. And if we're talking about Rachel, how can we not talk about her counterpart, Pris? Throughout the book, Pris does in fact manipulate Isidore because of his weak-minded stature. Though she does manipulate him, that's not the only thing she does in the book. Isidore was a very lonely character throughout the book, and what she does is give him a friend that he very much needed. While at the beginning of the book, Pris uses Isidore as a means of a cover. But throughout the book, it seems more and more apparent that she finds true and genuine friendship through Isidore, which isn't a very robotic or cold thing to do. However, Pris finds a lot of comfort in Isidore and even stands up to him. In a part of the book where Beatty wants to get rid of Isidore, Pris stands up for him. which isn't a cold or unempathetic thing to do. If anything, it's a very empathetic thing to do. And going on about Isidore, at the start of the book, he was a very lonely guy, as I stated, and he finds that kinship and that friendship in Pris. Though, that's not the only significance he has in the book. He has a very strong connection with Mercer as well. Though he's stated as a simple-minded person in the book, he sees all people as equal. He doesn't discriminate between humans and androids, and he doesn't see androids as cold, unempathetic beings. He sees them all as equals. And in the book, when Pris tortures the spider, this is a very heartbreaking moment for him. He feels like his friend has just betrayed him, and what does he do? He turns to Mercer, in hopes of strengthening that belief that all beings are equal.
Your life is.
Oh my god, it's a frog.
So throughout the book, characters that are usually in low points or arrive to low points in their lives often turn to Mercer. Why is this? As people turn to Mercer and his Mercerism when they feel like they don't have anywhere else to go, kind of like our portrayal of religion. Mercer and his religion, Mercerism, is the physical embodiment of connecting with others. When people hop on Mercer's box, they're not going on there to go on some Xbox Live party. No, they're there for connection, which is what I believe Mercer and Mercerism represents. Mercerism is symbolic of connection between androids and humans, making sure they recognize each other as beings of their own. Rick, at this low point of his life, having all the guilt come back to him, turns to Mercer and Mercerism when he sees the frog. The frog can be symbolized as retribution by Mercer of his sins, and him recognizing that androids may not be as bad as they thought. Likewise, Isidore never felt like androids were any different from us, which may be why he had such a deep connection with Mercerism, because he had a connection with everyone. Although, at the end of the book, Mercer was outed as a fraud, his ideas and his symbolisms were very real in Blade Runner. Even if he was a fraud, his ideology and his lifestyle still runs through the people of Blade Runner. But you may be asking yourself, how does religion and Mercerism connect to being human and having humanity? Well, religion is often the connection between people, humans showing humanity to others. In many biblical texts, it says to treat your neighbor as if he was your brother, which shows humanity, empathy, and just a love for the people around you. Which, let's be honest, what's more human than that?